What are the 6 things that surprised us about real estate investing? Now, we're going to focus on the first 5 to 10 years. We're each going to do 3, so we're going to play the game of ping pong. And as always, ladies first. Casey, what do you got for the number 1 thing that surprised you about real estate investing?
Oh, Michael. So this one, I have so many, but this one in particular is probably obvious, and I might get a lot of "you're stupid." But when I first started real estate investing, Blake and I had this goal. We wanted to replace his income in 10 years. We wanted to make $100,000, and he wasn't even making 100 when we started, but we figured, in 10 years he should, so we wanted to replace his income in 10 years, buying 1 property a year. If every house, rented for $1,000 and we ended up getting them paid off, we'd have 100,000. That was the goal, 1 a year. Well, the thing that surprised me the most was rental increases. So I didn't really think about it when I was putting my plan together. Like, oh, hey, rents go up over time, dummy. Like, I'm not going to need 10 houses, And so we reached that goal by house 6, and we didn't even have to go all the way to 10 years or 10 houses. And that was really surprising. And so realizing that rents go up did help change my strategy, along with my nightmare tenant story and my invention of the cake method, which transformed the way I look at real estate investing. But with that, inside there, weaved in is the potential for rental increases. You have to have rent increases because, you don't want an alligator property, like you say, right? We're going to have what always rises? Home insurance, even property taxes will creep their way up, even if you're not making, your home's not appreciating tons. So you always have to have rental increases. And if you can, you're always going to stay above. You're always going to be cash flowing, and you're going to be bringing in more and more money as time goes on. And what I learned is the better the property, the nicer the neighborhood, the more your rent is going to increase. When we had COVID and, everyone in the country had this huge increase in rents and also home prices and all those things. At that time, I took a survey. I ran the math on my houses in my B neighborhoods and my houses in my C neighborhoods. And I forget the exact percentages now, but I think it was something like my C-class neighborhoods rent increases went up 22%, but my B-class neighborhoods went up 35%. And this all at the same time, the next year, that was market rents. And it's like, whoa, rent increases. Like, that really surprised me. So now when I'm buying properties, I'm focusing more on quality of property, neighborhood, appreciation potential, because what couples with appreciation potential? Rent increases. So it's not always about rent, appreciation. It's not just appreciation and property value. When you get appreciation, you also get rent growth. So rental increases was a little, I know, no brainer, but surprise for me.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. My first one's really embarrassing as well. And I spent the first 5 years thinking that a real estate investing was about having the best spreadsheet, the best worksheet, right? Series of tabs and, doing 10-year calculations and just all this rather sophisticated Excel kung fu. And for the most part, it's a complete waste of time. Real estate investing is not about the spreadsheet. Real estate investing is a people business, right? Evaluating a deal is important, sure, but it's really done once, and you're going to be an operator for decades. So once you become an operator or an owner, it's just a people business. Not only are your tenants your clients, but then you have your service providers. In my case, I have property managers, good and bad. I am confident that Olivia and I would have gone faster and farther if I didn't, arrogantly try to do it all by myself, right? I always thought and have lived most of my life just proving that I can work harder and more consistent than the next guy, sometimes by orders of magnitude. And I think this is an example where that got ahead of me and I lost 5 years of momentum, right? My network in Fresno or Central Valley after 5 years was, maybe a dozen people. It should have been 1,200 people. So, again, I now one of my rules is to try to meet 2 new people a week and things of that nature. But yeah, my number 1 is it's not about the spreadsheet. It's about the people. So that's my first one. What do you got for number 2?
All right, my number 2, and it's also about people, and it's something that I learned like over time, having properties in the B class and the C class areas. Or as you know, I will preface this and say, when I say B and C class, most investors would say A and B class. So I am a really strict and stringent on my class classifications, and so my C class properties are what turnkey companies and such would call B class. Just okay.
Fair enough. So you're
Okay.
a hard grader. I got it.
So I'm not buying in those D class areas when I say C. They are truly like we're not going to get shot. Maybe wrong day, wrong time. Okay. But so my next one is also about people, and it's something that I learned from investing in both different types of neighborhoods. And it's a simple thing, but the B class tenants, they don't stay as long, and the C class tenants stay longer. Now, there's pros and cons to that. And, like I can really make a case for either type of class to invest in. I get questions all the time, B or C, B or C. And I'm like the proponent of B, B for so many reasons. But C is really great too. It's got its place. But the trick with the trick with the C class is that you have to be very, very diligent and strict with your tenant criteria, because you're going to mix in those people that are going to take advantage of you and trash your property. So the B class tenants, who I love, they don't stay very long, right? These are people that are going to save up and buy their own homes. They're going to move out and buy. They're not really moving out to rent somewhere else. They're moving out to go buy somewhere else, usually to go buy. And from my experience, but these people will also keep your house in perfect shape. I mean, they will touch up paint before they leave. They will get it professionally cleaned. You're going to walk in with like a spray bottle and a towel and be like, okay, I'm done. And that's it. Okay. So there's the pro. The other pro with that is you don't have to worry about raising rents on them so much if you landlord yourself, because they're just going to be there for 2 to 4 years, and then they move out, and then you just market rent the next, online for the next tenant. Yeah. C class tenants, man, I've got some, this is my 10th year investing, and I didn't start investing in C class properties until I guess 2 years in. So I think I have my longest tenant 7 years going on. I still have an original tenant, almost original, nearly original from when I bought the house, not original to the house. And they're there a long time. Great. I'll raise the rent. They also don't cause as much problems. As far as like being annoying for little things, you get the hoity-toities in the B class that are like, my light bulb, changing my light bulb. And then you have the C class people who are like, I put the bowl under the drip. Like, it's no big deal if a guy can't come for 2 days, that sort of thing. So there's pros, but I did not realize the length of time that people would stay is a noticeable difference from B to C class.
Yeah. My number 2 is obviously one rental at a time guy. Cash flow is key. We talk both about, hey, how long will it take to replace our income with cash flow? So it's critical, right? Cash flow is what makes you hold an asset. If you don't have cash flow, a bad cycle can bust you. And look at all the syndicators losing right now because they just don't have cash flow with higher rates and insurance and taxes and all of that stuff. So cash flow is paramount. But now that I look back on 25 years of investing, appreciation is probably responsible for greater than 90% of the accumulated wealth. And again, why is that important? Because you got to be able to hold it, right? My wealth formula, step 3 is you got to hold it for a decade. You got to do something for a decade. And if you do it for 2.5 decades, your chances of getting wealthy are really, really good. But, so it all starts with cash flow. It all starts with yield, no alligators, as you said earlier. But when you zoom out and you look through the hard days and the broken water heaters and the broken windows and, all this nonsense, and then you zoom out, and the property's doubled in 20 years, it's a pretty good day. So again, appreciation is where a lot of your wealth comes, but cash flow is what helps you hold it. So I don't think I appreciated appreciation when I started. For me, it was cash flow. But now, 25 years later, it's like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, appreciation's the ice cream and cash flow is the whipped cream. So it's pretty interesting.
That's so funny. So I wrote down 4 just in case, So, but my next one I wrote down and it's the same principle, but cash flow is the cherry on top, waiting for appreciation. That's what I wrote.
That's
Same
funny.
thing. Yes, it's the cherry on top. When you mentioned whipped cream, yes, it's a cherry on top, but you have to have it. You can't buy an alligator. You have to have the property pay for itself. And that's the thing.
Yes.
The property has to pay for itself. And I don't mean break even because you can, I broke even this year. No. I'm talking over a potential 30-year ownership. You have to make money on the property. It has to pay for itself. And break even really is a loss. Okay, there's no such thing as like break even. It's a loss. You need to make a little more than breaking even. But yes, I mean, just Michael, it's been the week from hell the past couple of weeks. I had to replace two HVAC systems in 2 houses, like complete systems. And one of those houses had a raccoon in the attic. So that's my first experience with a big animal. They never caught it, but I think he came in twice. And, the tenants, these are my B-class tenants, and they are hoity-toity and
Well, you got to imagine having a vermin in the house is probably not a good thing.
I know, but you don't even know. Oh my God, these people are driving me crazy. So, but anyways, so I was like, okay, all that. And then then we had a huge rainstorm, and then I had an overflow pan, didn't have a float switch, and HVAC. And so that dripped into our ceiling, and my husband had to go there out, like in the middle of the night after, it was convenient. He was on his way home from somewhere. And then today I've got another, property, roofer going out there because it's leaking on the add-on. It's like, it's got the wrong type of roof. So it's like all this stuff happens, but whatever, it's just money paying for things. It's not a huge deal really. But it's like, yes, you zoom out and you're like, okay, yes, it's cash flow. And am I getting cash flow from some of these houses this year? Like on paper? No, not with, a nearly $8,000 system in one house. Like that's that, but it's over the ownership, the time period, your cash flow, your rent checks pay for all of these things as you are appreciating. And overall, in the grand scheme of things, you are making money in your portfolio. Like it is the best decision that we ever made to start buying real estate. And cash flow is paramount, though it is. You have to cash flow. But if you are not buying in those appreciating neighborhoods, you aren't winning at the game. Okay. Yeah. It has to appreciate. Okay. So I'm going to throw in one more, Michael, because I wanted something different. Okay. And this is like, okay. It's not the pets. It's the pet owners. Okay.
Yes.
It's the pet owners. So I get chills like all the time when I say great things that I'm just like, yes, about. So the pets, people go, I will not put in dogs. I will not put in cats, in my houses. And it's like, really, it isn't the dogs and it isn't the cats. It's the people that are taking care of those pets. Okay. Because I have had pet owners have their pets completely trash my property. Then I have had, pit bulls. Okay. Then I have had pit bull owners professionally trained, like these dogs could wear a crown. Okay. They're amazing. And they don't dig holes. They don't jump fences. They don't bark. And they do all these things. So it's not really the pets. Okay. So it's like, I don't want pets. I don't want dogs. I don't want cats. It's not them. It's the owners, not letting them out, not training them, not taking care of them. And I learned that over time. So I have been more open to not really, it's not like, let me meet your pet. Let me meet them. No, let me meet you who's going to be taking care of this animal. Because if I can trust you and I feel like you're not an idiot and you're going to do the right thing, then I can trust that my property is going to stay nice. But if you're going to leave your dog locked up in my bedroom with wood floors for 8 hours while you go to work, we've got issues. That's not the dog's fault that the dog peed on the floor. It's your fault. It's the owner's fault. So absolutely. I definitely learned that over time and have been more flexible. But instead of analyzing what dog, what pet, it's more of who is the owner and do I trust them?
I like it. Well, I will give you my third one. And again, after 25 years, I have seen this dozens and dozens of times. Folks, there is always a hot new strategy. There is always some easy way to make money. There is always a no money down strategy. There's always something that the gullible will chase. That always ends badly. At the end of the day, real estate getting wealth is simple. It is boring. It is one rental at a time. It takes a decade. Cash flow day one. I don't care if interest rates are 12 or 16%. We only write deals that make sense with 30-year fixed rate debt. And, I have seen so many people chase hot things. And 9 times out of 10, they get badly burnt. And the 10th time, they got lucky. So again, be very, very sensitive to the next new hot thing in real estate. Real estate investing's been around for hundreds of years, and the tried and true, boring one rental at a time is the best way for most people. Casey, that's our list of 6. You gave us a bonus. Let's call it 7 things. Thank you so much. Where can they find you?
People can find me every day on YouTube. Just put out a new video. What was it? Sunday, right on Trump's freaking birthday party. My husband's like, why did you release it at that time? That most of you, I'm like, shoot, dang it. Oh, well. Anyways, it's great. It's on contractor scams, but you can find me on YouTube, Brick by Brick Wealth. And you can check out my website if you want to see what else I've got going on, brickbybrickwealth.com.
Thank you so much.